Hi everyone, it's Kathleen. I thought I'd turn on the camera and we might have done this stitch already, but I want to try it using this size 3 DMC Perle Cotton. This one, which is my favorite, is made with a size 5 DMC. I love how that looks, so I want to see what it looks like with a size 5. I have taken a piece out of my treasure hunt of stitches, my treasured fabrics. This is a coffee dyed Battenberg. I'm working on the heavy cotton side. And this is, I live in Canada. This is a toonie. It is maybe 1 1/8 1.25 inches in diameter. I laid it down, took my pencil, drew myself a circle. I back stitched all the way around, so you get these stitches. I've showed you how to do a back stitch already. I am going to use I call it my yarn needle. It's not very sharp. It has a nice wide eye, and I've got a length of this size 3 Perle Cotton, and it goes from my right shoulder to my left outstretched arm here. So it's quite a long length. I still might have to add more thread onto this circle. So I'm going to move my scissors aside, move this aside because I want lots of room here to work. Okay, and because it's a thick thread, I am just going to make a little loop, and this is how I thread yarn or other thick threads through it so I can actually get it through the loop. Okay, so because it's a blunter end, I won't be going in or stitching my thread or grabbing my fabric by mistake. So back stitching, I'm going to come up on the inside of the circle, halfway between one of the stitches. And it's just knotted in the back. So now I am going to position my thread. It's always going to be the same. Counterclockwise. Down and counterclockwise. I'm going to put my needle, and this stitch will be repeating itself through each one of these back stitches. So I came up in the center of that stitch. So I'm going to start to this next stitch on the right. And I'm going to insert my needle. I'm going to go under, like along the fabric, and go underneath the loop. I'm not grabbing anything. We're going underneath that loop, that stitch. I said a wrong thing. I'm going underneath the stitch, and I'm coming up above that thread, and I'm just pulling, and I'm making a knot, pulling it tight. So position it again, counterclockwise. Go under that thread, and I'm going to go grabbing the next loop and coming up, and I'm pulling it up, making a counterclockwise, going under, so alongside the fabric, under this thread and up in the center. And I'm going to keep doing that all the way around. Okay, let's see if it's going to be easier to lay it down. Oh, my pad. Where's my needle pad? Okay, I'm going to work with this. It's a felt needle pad to store needles in, or use a drizzle pad, maybe it's called. So I'm just going to use that as a flat surface. That would work really nice. Where's some needles? look at this. This is going to work nice. So I'm just going to, I'm going to wrap it up like a sandwich. Okay, let's do this. Okay, I'm just doing this because it'll make it easier for me to turn and demonstrate when I'm on camera. Oh, can't have it. Okay, not pulling, so I'm just getting another one and sticking it in there. Okay, it's just easier for me to maneuver to show you this on camera. Okay, because I'm not going through fabric. Okay, so again, same stitches all the way around, counterclockwise. Our thread goes counterclockwise. I'm just going under the thread, catching a loop, and bringing my needle above the thread and pulling it. Position it, the thread, counterclockwise. Needle slides along my fabric, catches the next stitch, and coming up over the thread. And I'm going to do that all the way around. Loop counterclockwise, slide on the fabric. So it's under. So under the thread and catch a loop and over the thread. Counterclockwise, slide under the thread, catch a loop, and pull up. Counterclockwise, slide under the thread, catch a loop, and go above the thread. I guess you have to be, it's a whole circle, I guess. So here, I'll do that one better next time. So you see, it's easy to get mixed up here. So you make a complete circle like this. So I have a complete circle, and I'm going to go under that first thread and through this little circle that I'm making. And you can see as I'm pulling the little circle, it'll go up. Make a circle counterclockwise, slide under, catch a loop, and go over the thread within the circle. And I've got to detangle because we're all tangled up. Counterclockwise, and make it be easier for me to remember if it's a whole circle. So I'm going to go under the thread, catch a loop, go within my circle, and I'm pulling up. And counterclockwise, under, catch a loop, and over within the circle. You can see how beautiful these knots are forming. I like the smooth, silky finish of the Perle Cotton rather than I did the yarn, and the yarn was a little bit furry. So counterclockwise, so you learn. Try different threads, that's the whole point. Counterclockwise, slide, catch a loop, and in the middle of the circle, and pull. Counterclockwise, and your thread very easily gets twisted, so you just have to keep straightening it. So slide, catch a loop, and up within the circle. Slide, catch a loop, up within the circle. Slide, catch a loop, up within the circle. Look at how beautiful those knots are. Oops, see, I just about did a wrong thing. I just about went on top. Counterclockwise, slide, catch a stitch and up the circle. I say this to myself even when I'm not on camera. Am I missing a few screws? Yeah, maybe. Slide, catch a stitch, and pull up in the circle. Okay. Oh, one more stitch. So counterclockwise, slide, catch that. Whoops, I just about went down the hole. Catch a stitch and up. Okay, this is where, that's the first round. The next round, the only difference to finish this circle is I still do that counterclockwise, but instead of going in the back stitch, we're going to find the loop of the first stitch, which is right here. So she says. Okay, I'm going to go position this counterclockwise and slide underneath, but I have to see where that first stitch is. Can you see it? That's the first loop. So I guess the loop we're catching is just before the knot and up. Make a circle counterclockwise, and again I'm going to go under that thread, and you see how I'm just using my fingers to hold that thread in shape, counterclockwise shape. So now I have to find that other one. So I'm going to slide, and these are 2 knots. So we're going to go catch that thread between the 2 knots, just that thread. That's what we're doing. And pull up. Counterclockwise. Okay. This is the knot I just made. These are the next 2 knots. So we're going to slide under, and in between the next 2 knots, the existing knots on the circle, we're going to pull. That's our loop. It's hard to figure out where your loop is, so that you have to be very mindful of that. Counterclockwise, I'm going to slide, and I just made this knot. So these are the next 2 knots. So just with your needle, you can see where it is and pull. Take your time. This is not a race, and it will look really nice when it's done. Counterclockwise. Slide. These are my next 2 knots. So the 1, and make sure you only pick up 1. There we are. I really stretched it. And up. I'm going slow because this is where it's the finicky part that some people get lost on. Learning where to put your needle. So counterclockwise, slide, and these are 1, 2 knots. So go in between and just catch like that, and that's the next one. And make a knot. Counterclockwise. You see how short my thread is already? I'm going to have to load up soon. So slide underneath, first and second knot in between, and you always pull and see if you're in the right spot. And up, counterclockwise, slide under in between the first and second knot, and yes, I'm in the right slot, and up, counterclockwise, And let's move this out. Our two knots are a little bit joined here. So slide underneath in between the next two knots. And you can see how the knot, there's a wrong, a right, and a wrong. So it's in the middle. There's kind of, you can see that. And up. Slide under. Pick up a thread, pick up a loop, and always look to see if that's the loop. I do. Look at how beautiful that's looking. And I'm tangled. Make a circle counterclockwise. Go under, and these are the next two knots. And make sure you're in the right spot. I'm always looking on camera. There we are. And up. And pull. Counterclockwise. Slide under the thread. In between these two. Pull. Yes, that's the right spot. I always look. Oh my gosh, that's looking beautiful. Counterclockwise, slide under. First knot, second knot, and that little bridge between them. And pull up, counterclockwise. Okay, slide under the thread. First and second knot, and yes, that's the right loop. And pull. So you can see where the first and the second round, I'm going to go all the way around, going in every single loop. Then we're going to decrease because our circle gets smaller. So counterclockwise, slide under, pick up that loop between the two knots, and bring it up, counterclockwise, slide under the thread, look for that loop, and pull up, counterclockwise, slide under. That's these are the next two loops. Grab that little bridge and pull up. Okay, counterclockwise. Slide under and look for the next two knots. Grab that bridge and pull. Okay, and counterclockwise. Come on. Counterclockwise. Slide under the thread. First and second knot. Find that bridge between those next two and pull. And I think there might be one more stitch in this first round that we're doing. So counterclockwise, slide under. Now, where is that? I see which knot? Okay, this is the knot I just made. So those two, let's go under, and there we are. Make sure it's finding the correct loop. So now we're going to go smaller. We did one round in every single back stitch, then in every single loop. Now, because look, it's getting wider, we want it to go in on itself. You could actually leave this and it can be almost like a cup stitch. But now I want to reduce. I want to go smaller. I want my threads to go inward. See how this circle is smaller than that circle. So to decrease the threads, and it's you just have to go by eye. You could try doing one every 3 stitches, one every 2 stitches, one every 4 stitches, but you may or may not be able to do that. So I want to see, let's push this inward and pull it out. Okay, so meanwhile, I will have to see where my next two, so this is my next stitch. I don't want to use that, so I'm going to skip the first stitch. So when I say first, I said a wrong thing. I'm going to skip the next bridge. This would be my next bridge. Let's get ourselves set up. Circle, counterclockwise, slide. Okay, I'm going to use my thumb. This is the knot I just made. These are the first two. I'm going to skip that one. And I'm going to go under here. This is my next loop. Can you see that? I'm going to go under there and start. So I skipped one. Make my circle. So I skipped the first one, and I'm going to do the next ones that I'm supposed to do. So this is my knot. Okay, this is a knot in that. Let's see if that's... I just did that one. Let's pull it so we can actually see where our knot is. This is a knot. That's a knot. So let's pull. This is the next door knot. It's the next one. So I am going in the next knot. Position my thread. Go under. I pulled it to see that these two are my next. So I did one beside each other. Let's do two beside each other. So this is my next knot. Knot, knot, bridge. Let's go under the bridge of my next one. So I missed one and did two. And my fingers aren't working. Slide under. Let's pull. These two are our next. And three. So let's do, I skipped one, did three. I'm going to skip one again. So I made my half circle, or my circle. Okay, so pulling this is mine. Oh, so let's go under. Let's slide under. This is my next knot. This would be my next bridge. Knot, knot, bridge. I want to tighten it, so I'm going to skip that one. Knot, knot, bridge. So I went, I skipped, I did three, I skipped, and let's do three more. So one, you tighten it up and your circle will get a little bit smaller. So I tighten that up. So that's one. Let's do two more right next to each other, then I'll end my thread. So circle counterclockwise, slide. These are my next two knots. So let's find that bridge is right here. And make a knot. And the third one. So counterclockwise, slide under the thread. This is my next knot. So the bridge in between those next two, knot one, knot two, and the bridge in between is right there. And pull up. I can still see it's pulling it inward. You see how nice that's forming a circle, whereas that's kind of baggy. So let's do, I can't remember if I did two or three. I can't remember. It wouldn't matter if you did one more. Did I do three or two? I don't know. So let's position our thread, and let's see what the next one looks like. Under. Let's pull this actually. Okay. This is my knot I just did. This is my existing knot one. This is my second bridge. I'm going to go in it. Okay, so now I'm going to, let's just skip one. Now, make our half circle. And to see where your knots are, just pull that existing knot you just did. And I'm holding my thumb down on my half circle. I'm going under my thread. This is my next knot. Knot 1, knot 2, 2 and 3. I want to find that next bridge, so I'm skipping one. There it is. And going up. And we're going to tighten the thread to bring the circle in. Maybe one more I can do. And I'm going to do the next one beside it, the next bridge beside it. So counterclockwise, go under. These are my next 2 loops. Sorry, next 2 knots. This is my bridge. Go up, pull the knot. I can still go, I still have thread. I don't like to waste my thread. Counterclockwise, this might be the last stitch. These are the next 2 knots. And then this would be the bridge. Okay, I am going to find my next, I'm pulling this, these are my next 2. This is my next one here. How can I mark this? She says, I'm going to leave my needle in for right now. I'm going to get another length of thread from my right shoulder all the way down to here. So that's a good 36 inches. And I'm going to tie a knot. I'm going to take this. Here, that's too little. Let's get a big one. That's really big. Okay, let's get this guy here. Yeah, it's big. Bookbinding. Okay, so this is my next loop I want to go into. I'm catching it, so I know where it is. So they're both in there. They're both in there. Okay, so lay your fabric flat. And, oops, I just lost my loop. I can see this loop. I'm just going to go down. And get this out of the way. It's not going to be tied just yet. I'm just going to leave it. I'm leaving it because I don't want to have to take all that apart. That's the only reason. And this is curled, so I'm just going to snip it so it's flat. And when I work with thick thread or yarn, I just I loop it, squeeze the little loop, and then stick the loop through my hole, use my fingernail, and it's done. So let's, let's put you back. Okay, so let's come up just beside it. So I'm kind of taking a back step. And coming up beside it. A little bit to the left. Okay, that's my other length. Okay, I'm right at the end. I'm going to leave this for now. And this is our stitch that we just did. Let's come up where the knot is. Okay, let's go underneath this. We seem to be underneath the knot. So let's just go to the back of that stitch. There, we're coming up like this. It's coming up here, inside, in between here. This is my knot. So where's that knot? Okay, right here. This is my knot. Let's put it on the, this is my last knot I just did on that bridge. So I'm coming up to the right of the knot under that bridge. And because I didn't knot it, there's a lump, is a loop. So let's pull it. And I'm going to hold it in the back for a minute. And make this counterclockwise. And let's slide under. We just made this knot. So the next two knots would be here. So let's look for that bridge. And I want to pull that and our next bridge. So that's right there. So let's skip one the next time. So let's counterclockwise. Slide. If you can't see your knots in your bridge, you have to pull. Okay, this is the next knot. This is the next knot. That's the next knot. So this is my bridge right here. Knot, knot, bridge. And make sure you go in the hole, not catching the threads. So I skipped one. I think. Did I skip one? I can't remember. I think I have to skip one here, so maybe I should have skipped one there. And make your counterclockwise circle, go underneath, and this is my next knot. I'm going to skip that one. Go to the next one, so that's second knot and third knot. So let's find the bridge between the second and the third knot. It's right there. And pull. That's probably the hardest part, is determining what is a knot and a bridge, the loop between the knots. I'm going to go towards the next one. So this is the next two knots. I'm going to go in between under that bridge and pull. I'm going to skip one now because I have a lot of puckering here. So I want to bring my circle in. So to do that, I go under my thread. Let's see. This is the next knot. I want to miss it. That's my bridge. I want to miss that one. Second knot, and this should be a bridge. Yes, it is. And I want to do that one. Go under that one. And pull. You see how we're gathering it in? And as we do more circles, we'll get a nice round circle. Right now our circle is kind of wonky because we're still working on it. So we made an arc. So our next, we have a knot, and this is our bridge. Right there. Uh-oh. Oh, there we go. Nice. And okay, I see that we're going to have to miss a stitch because this looks a little wonky. So we're going to slide under. This is our next knot. That would be our next bridge, but I'm going to skip that one. Knot, and then this is the next bridge. We're going to go under that little bridge and pull. Arc. Too much thread here. Here, let's detangle you. You are so tangled. Okay. We are arcing our thread counterclockwise. And let's see. This is our next thread. This is our knot that we just made. Then there's this knot, and that knot. So yes, we're going to use our neighboring bridge. So your question always is, do I use my neighboring bridge or do I skip that bridge? You never know until you come up to your circle. Okay, let's go again, counterclockwise, slide under. This is our, okay, we just made that knot. This is the next knot. Whoa. Okay, this is what we just made. This is our knot. That's our knot. So this one here. Okay, I'm going to go for it. Yes, I'm going to use that bridge. I'm going to skip the next one. So our circle, counterclockwise, go underneath. We just made this one. This is our next knot. This would be our next bridge, but I'm going to skip it. Knot, bridge. Okay, I'm skipping one. Looks like quite a far way, doesn't it? But we need to pull that circle in. There we are. Look at how it nicely pulled it in. Okay, so we're going to position our thread counterclockwise. Slide under the thread. This is our two knots, so let's go to that bridge, our next door neighbor bridge. Okay, I like how that's forming. We're just going to pull that in a little bit. So our bridge, and slide under. And I have to pull for myself to see where the next knot is. That's the knot. This is the next bridge. Yes, I'll do it. And then the next one I'm going to skip. So we're going to use the second bridge. So let's do this. We're going to skip one. So this is our knot. And okay, that would be, that's our next knot. So we just made this one. That's our next knot. And this is where we started. So I'm going to go in there. So I'm going to go underneath, grab the one we just started. Why did I say just started? I don't know. Maybe that's this. Okay, I have to skip the next one. So let's go around, because look how oval it is. I want it round. Under. And how do I tell? I pull. This is the next knot. This would be our neighbor bridge. I'm going to skip that neighbor bridge. Go to the knot. This is our second neighbor bridge. Wow, look at that big hole. How can we have such a big hole? Well, maybe we'll let it. It's because I ended there, so we'll kind of put him back into where he belongs. And let's do the next stitch beside it. So underneath, this is our next stitch. And that's our next bridge, our neighbor bridge. Around, underneath. See how I pulled to see where on earth is my knot? Go underneath. This is my neighbor bridge. That's a knot and the neighbor bridge. Love how that's turning out. We need to do a couple more. Underneath our knot. No. Okay, this is, I was just testing to see which bridge to go under. This is our first knot. This is our next, our neighbor bridge. There's no spaces. Make a stitch. go underneath. This is our first knot. This is our next bridge. We are going to use that one. I think we're going to skip the next one, so we're going to pull it in a little bit more. Let's go around. And, okay, this is our next knot. This is our next bridge. I want to skip that one. This is a knot. Whoops. A knot. I can see him, and this is my bridge. So go underneath, and this is my bridge. So it's not my neighbor bridge, it's my second neighbor bridge. I'm skipping one bridge. And it's progressing nicely. And let's do that again. Okay, knot is tangled because I have such a long thread is tangled because I have such a long piece, but I need a long piece. Okay, counterclockwise, under. Well, I gotta look for my knots first. Okay, I see a big space here, so let's go, our big bridge. Let's go in the big bridge. And counterclockwise. You see how it's not the same? It's not every second or every third. It's whatever looks good. So let's go. I did that underneath. That's my existing, that's my knot. This is that I just made. So this is my first knot. This is my next bridge. Let's use the next bridge. I did not skip. Oh, that's looking gorgeous. Okay, let's counterclockwise this. And underneath, this is my first knot. This is my next bridge. I'm going to skip one, I think, to pull it in. So I skipped one bridge. And let's go under. Okay, that's a big bridge we just did. That's our first knot. This is our neighbor bridge. I want this to be pulled, and then I want to leave this open. So let's see how many more stitches I have. 1 or 2. Let's look. Counterclockwise. Let's go underneath. This is our first knot. This is our neighbor bridge. Okay, I'm going to do our neighbor bridge, and I'm going to pull him. Pull him tight. Okay, that pulled nicely. See, this is quite, I didn't tie a tight enough knot in here, so I have a little bit line there. I could fix that if I was going to go all the way around, but I want to leave that. Can you see the comparison? Oh, Jesus. Oh, where's this going to go? Ah, comparison. Okay, these are all trellis stitches, all of these. They look different in craft yarn, cotton craft yarn. This is size 5 Perle Cottons with a lot more stitches, a lot smaller stitches. This is done with fewer stitches so you can see where they are. I'm going to do one more, I think, and then anchor it off. Let's do one more. So go under, knot, this is our neighbor bridge. I love that. Okay, so to anchor it, let's undo my Battenberg off this drizzle pad. That's what this is called, is a drizzle pad. Move this over, and oh, I love that. Okay, so let's knot up our first one. And I'm just pulling it snug. I'm not pulling it extremely tight because you don't want that to pull in. And so our next knot and our next, this is our next bridge here. So as I lay it flat, this is my next bridge. And I'm going to just go to the back. Wow. Love that. Absolutely love that. Okay. So to get a more finer, smoother, refined look, you need to do smaller stitches. For the purposes of this demonstration, I wanted to do larger stitches so you can see how I actually create it. So look at how beautiful that is. The OCD is bothering me because I see this thing here. And it's just because I didn't tighten my knot as good as I could have. But I like the overall shape. So look at that. Look at how beautiful that is. Those, I won't use that again. I don't like that particular craft yarn. Again, you live and learn. You want to try? So go try it. And there we are. So that is what we've done. The 2 trellis stitches. These 2 are my favorite. I love the smallness of the size 5, but I really, really love this. You can really, really see that. And we can fill it all up and it can be a solid piece. Smaller ones I would do. I might do some smaller ones here. Another's, oh, if I plan to have this as a flower, I'm just going to, I need my wooden table. I'm just drawing a little circle. Okay, so off camera, I'm going to make another little circle and I'm going to fill it right up. I'm not going to leave a hole. I'm going to fill that one right up with this same yellow thread. And then I'll photograph this and put it on YouTube. So thank you everyone for joining me. Practice with different threads because it'll give you a different look. And these, oh, I think this is what I showed you. I think I showed you these. And that's all filled. And these, oh, maybe those are cups. Well, what's the difference? No, they're round. Cups only has 3 stitches. So these are all trellises. Oh, and they all look different. Yarn, Angora, size 5, craft yarn, cotton, and size 3. So thank you everyone for joining me. Go practice. Have fun. Bye for now.